Aloha and welcome to This Is Now. I'm Dylan Ancheta. First at noon, a 19-year-old killed in a crash in North Kona on Friday has been identified. Officials ID'd him today as Noah Edward Zanstra. Police say he was speeding on a Kawasaki Ninja Sport bike, overtaking multiple vehicles before crashing with a Honda CR-V. This happened on Queen Ka'ahumanu Highway near the 84-mile marker. Zanstra was taken to a hospital and later pronounced dead that night. The other driver suffered minor injuries. Police said speed was a factor. This marks Hawaii Island's 28th traffic death this year, compared to 15 this same time last year. Meanwhile, President Biden announced today that the U.S. helped broker a ceasefire deal between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon to end the fighting there. Natalie Brand has more details from the White House.
President Biden announced a U.S.-brokered ceasefire deal between Israel and Hezbollah.
Under the deal reached today, effective at 4 a.m. tomorrow local time, the fighting across the Lebanese-Israeli border will end.
The deal will be implemented immediately, but in phases, giving Israel 60 days permitted for the withdrawal of its forces. Even as negotiations continued Tuesday, an Israeli airstrike hit a residential building in Beirut. Lebanon's health ministry says attacks have killed more than 3,500 people since fighting started and displaced more than 1 million. On the Israeli side, about 90 soldiers and nearly 50 civilians have been killed in the north and tens of thousands displaced.
Civilians on both sides will soon be able to safely return to their communities and begin to rebuild their homes, their schools, their farms, their businesses.
The Biden administration hopes a ceasefire deal in Lebanon could provide momentum for ending the war between Israel and Hamas in Gaza.
By de-escalating tensions in the region, it can also help us to end the conflict in Gaza. In particular, Hamas will know that it can't count on other fronts opening up in the war.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken says the administration is in communication with the incoming Trump administration and hopes continuity leads to peace and security in the region. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
And speaking of President Trump, President-elect Trump says he will put tariffs on imported goods from the nation's 3 largest trade partners on his first day in office if they don't cooperate. A plan economists warn will raise prices on a wide range of goods for everyone. NBC's Chris Ballone has the latest.
At the Texas-Mexico border, President-elect Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, assessing the situation with Governor Greg Abbott as the administration prepares to take over in January.
You can't have strong national security if you don't have border security.
Immigration, a key campaign issue for Trump, and now the centerpiece of a new threat from the president-elect targeting the U.S.'s 3 largest trade partners. Trump posting on social media he plans to impose 25% tariffs on goods imported from Mexico and Canada and increase the tax on Chinese goods by 10% on his first day in office, blaming the 3 countries for immigrants and drugs coming into the U.S. and daring them to stop it. Economists say people will see across-the-board price increases on things like vehicles, dairy, paper products, building supplies, electronics, and many other everyday items.
The person or the entity that is importing that writes a check to the U.S. government to pay that import tax and then turns around and in many cases passes that tax along to consumers in the form of higher prices.
It's unclear whether Trump is serious about these day-one tax hikes or just using them as a negotiating tactic. But experts say just the threat alone could cause price increases before the president-elect is inaugurated.
The more people, the more retailers and importers that rush to stockpile goods, the more it raises things like shipping and freight costs given those higher demands.
In response, Canadian officials stressed the nation's close relationship with the U.S., and the Chinese embassy in Washington said trade between the 2 nations is mutually beneficial. Chris Pallone, NBC News.
On Hawaii Island, a Pahoa man has been charged with attempted murder after allegedly beating his 76-year-old wife with a shotgun. Loa Polfal's wife suffered a fractured skull, brain bleed, concussion, and a partial thumb amputation. Police say the 77-year-old called 911, admitting he tried to kill his wife at their home in Nanavale Estates on Friday night. Pofall's wife is now at the Queens Medical Center in stable condition. His bail has been set at $1.7 million. Meanwhile, Dylan Gap is back behind bars after allegedly breaking into a business in Ke'au and stealing a truck. Police say officers arrested the 32-year-old after he tripped into a ditch while running from them Saturday morning. Gap is also awaiting a court appearance in January for allegedly chasing a man while riding an ATV last winter. The babysitter found guilty of manslaughter wants a new trial. Dixie Villa's attorney filed a request yesterday. A jury said Villa gave an infant a fatal dose of Benadryl, but Arlene Kawano explains why legal experts believe a new trial could be granted.
The motion was filed Monday morning and revealed the child's father told prosecutors that his ex-wife lied on the stand. The day before, a jury found babysitter Dixie Villa guilty of manslaughter for the 2019 death of 7-month-old Abigail Lobish. Her father, James Lobish, contacted the prosecutor's office and said Anna did co-sleep with the child, contradicting what was said in court. The motion for the mistrial says the state relied heavily on Anna's testimony that she never slept in the same bed with Abigail, and the state argued at trial that Villa was reckless in choosing to co-sleep when she was babysitting.
Before you take away their civil rights and before you put them in jail, you want the trial to be as fair and just as possible. And when that doesn't happen, then you have to have a new trial.
Legal expert Alexander Silvert says the new information challenges Anna's credibility and therefore her entire testimony. The defense's motion for a mistrial also claims that a new witness came forward saying she told police that Anna was suffering from mental health issues. Text messages from the court filing say Anna Lobish told this witness that she needed to go to the doctor to get checked out, that she couldn't handle both babies at the time. The motion says Anna was suffering from anxiety and mental health issues, and that this information was never disclosed to the defense, which says show Anna had motive to administer diphenhydramine to the child.
The defense has been from day one that the overdose of the active ingredient in Benadryl could have come from the mother's breast milk because the mother was taking Tylenol PM, which had the same active ingredient as Benadryl. So this just falls in line and supports that argument. It doesn't prove it, but it certainly supports it.
The court will set a date for the hearing on the new motion. Meanwhile, sentencing for Villa is still scheduled for February. I'm Lynn Kawano, Hawaii News Now.
And aloha, everybody. Happy Tuesday. I want to walk through our first alert weather headlines, giving you the first alert for what we're tracking this week. The rest of Thanksgiving week is looking to be absolutely wonderful out there. We've got light winds and dry air across the entire state, and the trade winds are set to return by the time we get to Thursday. We also have an extra large swell that's going to approach this weekend, which may give us our first high surf warning of the season. Taking a look at our first alert windcast, we've got some drier air filtering in from the north. We had a cold front move through on Sunday and Monday, and as we go into the rest of this afternoon, we're going to continue to see around 5 to 10 mile per hour winds out of the north, but I'm going to push even forward into Wednesday afternoon. You can see breezy trades are set to return. We've got a typical trade wind pattern expected this weekend.
Thank you so much, Drew. Coming up, what will be missing from the city's scenic skyline this holiday season? Plus, phone scammers will have a new bot to battle. We'll tell you more coming up. Welcome back. One of the most popular shopping segments of the holiday season will be toys. But consumer groups warn that some toys purchased in online marketplaces may miss the mark on safety. Karen Kaifa is in Washington with what shoppers should look out for.
While enjoying the ease of online shopping this holiday season, Teresa Murray, Consumer Watchdog Director with the U.S. Public Interest Research Group, says some deals really are too good to be true.
What has happened really in the last year or two is that a lot of e-commerce sites have opened that are not reputable businesses.
Murray says to watch for e-commerce listings that don't disclose a manufacturer and ship from overseas because they may not comply with U.S. safety standards.
I like saving money as much as the next person, but not when it comes to compromising my family's safety.
Unlike items purchased at a major retailer, online marketplaces that let outside vendors sell products may not be liable for an unsafe toy or other purchase. Orion Shin of Consumer Reports says regulation of online marketplaces simply hasn't kept up with the explosion in growth.
There really aren't the guardrails there yet to really make clear what the marketplace's responsibility is if anything goes wrong with a third-party seller product. And so we need that to change.
Shin says consumers should do their own digging to ensure the product and seller are legitimate.
Negative reviews should be a yellow to red flag, especially if there are a lot of them. And then check the federal government's website for recalls, warnings, or any useful safety information.
See if you can find that product on another major retail website. And if the company doesn't have its own website, that's typically a red flag.
And that was Karen Kaifa reporting. Well, back here at home, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas throughout Honolulu. But this year, there will be one beloved feature noticeably missing from the city's scenic skyline. The famous First Hawaiian Bank star that can be seen for miles around will not go up this year. FHB said they are undergoing renovations at the tower, and that required cranes to go up on the roof. They said while it could have been hoisted upright before the cranes went up, that would have prevented them from putting it back down until the renovations were complete, which increased the risk of it being damaged outside of the holiday season. There are nods to the star in other decorations throughout the building. The star was built into the tower during its construction in the 90s and actually lays flat on the roof year-round. FHB added that it was a very tough decision not to display the famous star, but they look forward to bringing it back in the future. And in today's news from the feeds, there is a new weapon in the fight against phone scammers, and it comes in the form of a digital grandmother with the gift of gab. Tina Kraus reports.
When scammers come calling, an English grandma named Daisy always picks up.
And let's face it, dear, I've got all the time in the world.
The AI-generated bot flips the script on fraudsters, tying them up in endless chatter.
So W's then a dot.
3 times W and then dot.
Wasting their time and sometimes making them snap.
I think your profession is bothering people, right?
I'm just trying to have a little chat.
She's the newest member of the fraud prevention team at Virgin Media O2 in London.
I'm your worst nightmare.
The reason why we used AI is because it doesn't sleep, it doesn't eat, you can use it 24 hours a day, and it's a great use case to really demonstrate some of these tactics that the scammers do to keep them on the line.
Can you tell me your bank number?
Oh, I appreciate that, dear. You sound so lovely, but you know, I've always been taught to be careful with my information.
Her creators say Daisy has taken more than 1,000 calls with scammers since she debuted earlier this month.
It's showing me a picture of my cat, Fluffy.
The longest lasted about 40 minutes.
It's nearly been an hour. For the love of...
Gosh, how time flies.
Stop calling me dear, you stupid.
Got it, dear.
The company hopes Daisy's distracting dialogue will keep fraudsters tied up and out of time to target someone else. Tina Kraus, CBS News, London.
Well, there's a new use for technology. Coming up, heading home for the holidays, Thanksgiving travel is ramping up. We'll tell you what you can expect for the friendly skies.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. Let's take another look at our first alert weather headlines, really summarizing what we're expecting over the next couple of days. Light wind and dry air is the story over the next couple of days. The trades are set to return by the time we get to this upcoming Thursday. And I also have a first alert for you. Extra large surf expected by the time we get to Friday and Saturday. Taking a look at our island by island forecast. Let's go through it for the rest of Tuesday. Over on Kauai, we're seeing mostly sunny conditions, light winds. Over here on the gathering place, mostly sunny. Some winds are building in strength. Notice our high temperatures getting up into the mid 80s in some spots. Our low temperatures were in the upper 60s, low 70s across most of the state. Maui County, sunny and nice out there. The island of Maui, 84 in Kihei, 85 in Kahului. Moving down to the island of Hawaii, 84 in Kailua Kona. Spinning around to the Hilo side, 82. A couple of showers are possible in the evening. Mostly sunny conditions as well. The northern parts of the Big Island will be mostly sunny and seeing scattered showers out there. We're tracking extra large surf as we're going forward into this upcoming Friday and Saturday. Taking a look at the numbers for this afternoon. North facing shores around 7 to 10 feet and west facing shores around 5 to 7 feet out there. A warning level swell is expected by the time we get to Friday and Saturday. Still tracking some box jellies out there on Oahu south and west facing shores, but those are starting to move further away. You can see in our swell forecast, a moderate swell is going to approach by the time we get to Wednesday, really reinforcing some of the surf that we've been seeing out there on north and west facing shores. But all eyes are on this large swell that's expected to arrive by the time we get to late Friday and Saturday, which could potentially trigger high surf warnings on north and west facing shores, and will certainly trigger high surf advisories on north and west facing shores if it doesn't get to those high surf warning criteria. So as we get closer to that, take a look and scan this QR code. Make sure to get out your phone real quick, and you can scan it right there on your screen. I'll leave it up long enough to where you have enough time to get it, because we're doing a really good job with our Hawaii News Now First Alert weather app. This is a completely separate app from what we have on our news app. It's a separate one completely focused on weather, and you'll get all the updates, high surf advisories, high surf warnings, flood watches, flood warnings sent directly to your phone. They'll show up right at the top of the app. You also get video forecasts from all of our team. Take a look at current conditions at any time. Here's your First Alert 7-day forecast. Beautiful weather expected going forward over the next couple of days. We're also expecting nice weather for Thanksgiving.
Looking forward to that nice weather. Thank you so much, Drew. Well, a record number of people are about to crowd the roads and airports for this upcoming holiday. AAA predicts nearly 80 million people will travel at least 50 miles over the next 7 days, setting a new Thanksgiving record. Meanwhile, a major storm is on track to cause trouble from the Rockies to the East Coast. Chris Van Cleve is at New York's LaGuardia Airport.
We are watching weather on both coasts and in the middle of the country that could impact flights. It's probably more delays than cancellations, but we are watching San Francisco, Las Vegas, Salt Lake City, Denver, as well as airports from D.C. all the way up to Boston as these various storm systems move about the country. And it's really what we've been seeing since Friday, where the airlines have been contending with storms on the West Coast and the East Coast, as well as some air traffic control staffing issues in the Newark area. But we've seen very, very few cancellations, and that's really good news for flyers. You're getting where you want to go, even if there have been delays. The FAA says today we'll see the highest number of scheduled flights, topping 50,000. The TSA expects to screen more than 2.8 million people. The agency says tomorrow and Sunday will be even busier. Sunday could be the busiest day at checkpoints ever. More than 3 million people are expected. AAA says traffic on the roads will start building this afternoon, and that's because in many places kids don't have school on Wednesday, so folks look to get on the road Tuesday to beat the Wednesday rush. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, New York.
Coming up, thinking about fostering a pet, our Casey Lund tells us about the latest program with Oahu SPCA. And now we go to some good news. Casey Lund is at the Oahu SPCA in Wahiawa and has details about a unique foster program called Thanksgiving Sleepover.
Aloha from the Oahu SPCA. I've had such an awesome morning up here talking about everything that goes on. Of course, we're talking about that Thanksgiving sleepover, but we just wanted to show you guys. They open at 8, and it's already a busy place. We've got folks here dropping off for appointments, whether that's the reduced spay-neuter clinic. Good morning, happy holidays to you, and or vaccination updates, everything. They have the vet clinic in here, and all the proceeds that come from that go to take care of the animals that are here and need homes. And speaking of needing homes, we're talking about our Thanksgiving sleepover program with our friend Adrian Preciado. He's the executive director of the Oahu SPCA. We also have Kristen Hudson. She's director of marketing and development here. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having us.
I want to talk a little bit about I'll start with Kristen and this awesome program that you guys have been doing for a few years now. Tell me about the Thanksgiving sleepover.
Yeah, it's such a great way to, bring a shelter pet out of the shelter for a couple of days, try your hand at fostering, low commitment, and then we provide everything. So, if you've never had a pet before, no worries. We have foster bags ready to go with everything you'll need for the 2 or 3 days. And you'll pick up today, tomorrow, drop off a couple days after Thanksgiving, and it's just a really great way to give back to the community and share your home with a shelter pet.
And we heard from Dr. Peavy, one of your awesome veterinarians here, about the benefits that even just fostering, even if you choose not to adopt and you bring the pet back, of course it would be awesome if you turned into an adopter while you're fostering, but even if you bring that pet back, she said that the benefits for it kind of getting socialized into a home, figuring out that there's love in the world for it, it goes a long way. So, Adrian, I also just want to talk to you about everything else that happens here and all the special people that work here as well. This is really a great place, and it's a needed place in our community.
Yeah, so definitely, like you said, we're a busy building that we got here. So we have our shelter where we house all of our animals that are looking for a forever home. We have a low-cost spay and neuter clinic. Bring your pet in, affordable price for spay and neuter to help the population, because that's how we're going to help control how many pets are coming in to the shelter. Then we also have our wellness, need vaccinations, preventions, keep that pet healthy throughout its life. We can help you out with that.
I love that, and always needing volunteers as well,
and
right?
Always needing volunteers. That's how we survive. So go to our website, oahuspca.org. You can fill out all of our applications, whether you want to adopt, foster, volunteer, or even donate.
Well, let's talk about that, Kristen, really quickly as we send things back into the studio. You guys are trying to reach a goal, right?
That's right. Donations are so crucial to our mission. We're not affiliated with any national organization. We're independently run. So really the Oahu SPCA exists and continues with the support of the community. So, people can donate conveniently on our website, oahuspca.org, or they can come down to the shelter and do it here as well.
Come down to the shelter, donate, maybe find an animal. I mean, maybe do both. Who knows? We'll set things back to the studio.
Thank you so much, Casey. And finally today, a look at what's in store for this year's Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Rehearsals have begun as performers make their way to the iconic star. There will be 22 floats, 17 balloons, 600 cheerleaders, and 11 marching bands. Rehearsals are performers' last chance to work out the kinks and find their marks and allow the director to find out the best camera angles. And all of this to bring it to you live Thanksgiving morning. Now, I absolutely love love watching the Thanksgiving Day parade. And of course, I saw the Rockettes performing. They live streamed their performance and they are looking on point. So I'm so excited. We thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of This Is Now. Have a great day. Aloha.